We know Mike Woodson and his staff have been awfully busy on the recruiting trail this summer, making lots of inroads. We also learned recently that Teri Moren and her staff have been just as busy. We learned some more details about who it is they've been targeting this summer.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome in, everybody, on this Tuesday morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you may be listening to us. This is Locked On Hoosiers, your one and only daily IU podcast. We're part of the Locked On Network, your team every day. Thanks to you guys for making us your first listen. As always, I'm your host, Jacob Rude. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. Shout out to LinkedIn for being the sponsor of today's episode. We spent a lot of time this summer talking IU men's basketball recruiting. Women's basketball recruiting is something that doesn't get nearly enough coverage. I've mentioned that a number of times. Last week, everydayers will know we had Talia Goodman on. We spent a segment of that show talking IU women's basketball recruiting, and then she released an article with a number of names that IU is targeting, looking at. She went up to Chicago this summer for a Nike tournament and saw a lot of players that the Hoosiers have been in contact with. So we're going to talk about them today. Get a sense of who IU is targeting, where they rank, what they're good at, what positions, everything we can find out. We're going to start with a name she mentioned last week, Mikayla Blakes, 2024 guard, has IU in her top 7. Since we did that podcast with Talia, Michaela has released or tweeted out her final 7, which included Indiana as well as Rutgers, Stanford, Tennessee, UCLA, Villanova, and Wisconsin. Mikayla Blakes is a top target. Number 16 in the 2024 class on ESPN. All these rankings are going to be ESPN rankings because they're the only ones that really release any sort of rankings. She is listed at 6 foot as a guard, one of the top guards in the country. Obviously, when you're the number 16 recruit, there aren't many above you. If you consider just guards, she is number 6 on the list, in terms of guards. So this is a big player for the Hoosiers. She is out of, I believe, the Northeast. I missed her name here. Rutgers Prep High School in New Jersey. She gave a quote to Talia about IU, quote, they're just really great. They're all just really great people, and they keep that relationship going. It's been really cool. Talia talked about her last week. If you guys want to go get a little bit more insight on her, singled her out as someone the Hoosiers are looking at in this class, quote, she, for those that might have missed it, Talia had this to say on her: quick, crafty, impressive shooter, can pass the ball well. We know how much Teri Moren likes big guards. A 6-foot guard is exactly what Teri Moren likes. So this makes a lot of sense in targeting this type of player. You're not often going to see Teri Moren bring in a smaller guard. It's happened. Nicole Cardano-Hillary was pretty small as a guard, but that's kind of been more the exception than the rule. She certainly has a preference of big guards. Grace Berger, Sydney Parrish, Lene Beaumont, Jules Laymandola, Alexis Bargesser. All those are big guards. So this would continue that trend. Blakes, again, listed at 6 foot as a guard, very much fits that mold. So someone very much to keep an eye on, and someone that one of the top players in the country is considering the Hoosiers. That is meaningful. And so we'll see if Indiana can push forward and lock that one down. Two other players I wanted to note that Talia spoke about or wrote about, in the piece she released since then are sisters, Jaylah and Nola Lampley, who are in-state recruits from Lawrence Central. Jaylah is a 2025 recruit. She's number 42 in the class, listed as a 6-foot guard. Repeat everything I just said about bigger guards. Lola is number 12 in the 2026 class and is a 6'2 forward. The two of them play for Lawrence Central. So if you want to check them out this season, find a Lawrence Central game. Unfortunately, and I was looking to see, full schedules aren't entirely out yet, but most of the way they are. Lawrence Central does not play Hamilton Southeastern. Hamilton Southeastern is where Maya McCluskey, boy, I butchered that name. I apologize. Future IU player plays at. So if Hamilton Southeastern is around at all, you can watch them. Those two schools don't play each other this season. It doesn't look like. So you won't be able to watch. You won't be able to kill two birds with one stone, basically. But Lawrence Central, if you see them around, you can check them out. A pair of recruits. Talia's scouting report on them. Quote, Jaylah is a really good defender who can make the perimeter shot. Lola is more aggressive with the ball. She attacks trying to score. You can understand that the two of them would have games that complement one another. We'll see what the likelihood of them both going to the same school is, but obviously you mentioned this all the time with the men's team. It's always really cool to keep in-state recruits in Indiana, and especially siblings, and especially high-ranked siblings. There are some in both these classes from Indiana. I don't know how much the Hoosiers are involved in them, but you're probably not going to find two bigger recruits than these two. There's looks like the top recruit in the 2024 class has already committed to Purdue, but Faith Wiseman is the second highest rated recruit just behind her, and she is an Indiana recruit. All the top Indiana recruits are accounted for, committed in the 2024 class. So you're looking at one of the top available in-state recruits in Jaylah Lampley. The Hoosiers are clearly going after her. We'll see if they're able to make that one, be able to get that commitment and land one or both of those ladies as well. So a lot more players we're going to discuss, including someone who has a long ago connection to Teri Moren. We'll talk about a fun little story, a connection between Teri Moren and the parents of one of the recruits here in a moment. We mentioned the sponsor at the top of the show of today's episode, LinkedIn. You guys know how challenging, how important it is for new hires, especially when it comes to small businesses. You have to be 100% right in that, finding that perfect fit, that perfect candidate to hire. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find those candidates faster and, most importantly, for free. You head to their website, you create your job posting, you add it to your profile, as well as the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile picture. Lets everybody know you are currently hiring. They have simple tools like screening questions that are going to simplify the process of finding the right candidate, interviewing the right candidate, and ideally hiring the right candidate. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn number one against their leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you guys find those qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free right now. LinkedIn.com/lockedoncollege. That's LinkedIn.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Big thanks to you guys for making us your first listen. Everydayers, tomorrow on the show, we'll do men's basketball recruiting. Have a number of things we can get caught up on. Jaden Mustaf announced when he will be making a decision. Tyler Betsy is down to 7 schools. We'll get you caught up on all the latest for men's recruiting, what you guys might have missed in the last week. Let's look at a couple other recruits. In the 2025 class, both of these recruits start with Alex Eschmeyer. I believe is how you pronounce it. A 2025 6'4" forward. Grew up in a very basketball-centric family. Both of her parents played basketball at Northwestern. Her father played at Northwestern and then had a career in the NBA. Evan Eskmeyer. Some of you might remember him. He had a 4-year career in the NBA. He was a prolific scorer at Northwestern. He finished with 1,805 points. Played in the late 90s for Northwestern. Mom played at Northwestern as well. And she was someone who happened to overlap her playing career with a certain assistant coach then at Northwestern by the name of Teri Moren. Her mom, Christina Divjak. I'm pronouncing that poorly, I'm sure, but she also had a basketball career and has a connection with Teri Moren. So it is interesting now to see a recruit that has that level of connection in Alex. The Hoosiers are targeting her, scouting a report on her, skilled forward who passes and moves well. Eskmeyer definitely needs to improve strength-wise, but that should come with time, especially as a 2025 recruit. Still plenty of time to improve there. She spoke about the fit and what she's looking for. Quote, "It's all about the people. I want to go to a place that feels right. I'll just know when it feels right." So there's a connection there, a fun little backstory as to how Teri Moren is connected and linked to her. How much that matters, we'll see. She's not ranked by ESPN, and you're probably not going to find her on any other ranking site, unfortunately. So they're still pretty far out in that 2025 class. ESPN only has the top 60 for that class as well. A lot of things can shape up and change, so we'll see if she does get ranked. But rankings haven't really mattered a ton to the Hoosiers. There's been a number of times, this most recent recruiting class, the 2024 class, I believe, Faith Wiseman has moved up in it. And then last year's class, there was a long stretch where neither Jules Amendola or Lene Beaumont were ranked. Jules finished ranked to number 52. Lene was number 83. So both of them ended up being top 100 recruits at the end of the day. So the Hoosiers have the eye for talent. The rankings, I don't know how much they matter, especially in women's basketball, because effectively you're looking at one person's ranking or like one group of people's ranking, and there isn't any variety in that. So I don't know how much it really matters when it comes to women's basketball. Layla Hayes is another name. Talia mentioned her last week. She spoke about her. You can go back and listen. She was the recruit that is from Alaska and wasn't getting any sort, I won't go that far, was going unnoticed, overlooked, whatever word you want to use, not getting a lot of attention until she went to Chicago earlier this summer. Everybody suddenly started paying attention. Another 2025 recruit, and again, shockingly, not ranked. I'm assuming that probably has everything to do with the fact that she plays in Alaska, and it's hard enough to get people to pay attention in the contiguous United States. So going outside of that, good luck. But she's planning a visit to IU. There's 4 schools she's planning visits to: IU, Nebraska, TCU, Eastern Washington. She got a lot of attention after playing in Chicago. Prior to last weekend, she had offers from Indiana, TCU, Nebraska, Hawaii, Iowa State, Gonzaga. I could not imagine a bigger culture shock than going from, maybe not even culture, but just temperature, climate shock than going from Alaska to Hawaii. That'd be about as different as you can make it. But after her playing well in Alaska, she got offers from Illinois, Iowa, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Alabama, Utah. Clearly there is something there, and the Hoosiers, we speak again all the time on the men's side, getting those relationships early. Indiana had that relationship before she kind of broke out a couple of weeks ago or a month or so ago, and because of that, they're on the list and are going to get a visit. Hayes said, kind of on the pressure quote, "It's been a little overwhelming. It's been good. It's all new." She said she really, really likes Indiana. Make a note of that. She sounded like she was excited with her interactions. That Indiana is one of the schools she's talked to the most throughout her recruiting process. So the Hoosiers did the groundwork early on this one, made the inroads, and now could be reaping the benefits now that she has kind of made more of a name for herself. I don't know how you find a recruit from Alaska. I don't know if anybody was going up to Alaska to watch her, but Indiana has a player from Israel. One of the best players on the team is from Israel. So no, they leave no stone unturned, and they find all of these players. Kudos to however that came about, but we will kind of pay attention, monitor that one again. Seems like Indiana's in a really good place when it comes to Layla Hayes. We're going to wrap up with 3 more players. 2 of them 2024 recruits. One of them a 2027 recruit. We'll tell you why you are going to want to pay attention to her here in a moment. So 3 more recruits, as I said, we're going to wrap this one up with. One of them, Talia mentioned kind of off the bat last week when we asked her about recruits. Zania Socka, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. The number 43 recruit in the 2024 class. Right there by, there was another recruit in that area that I'm blanking on. But regardless, a recruit out of Washington, D.C. Again, Talia spoke about her last week. She has offers from Northwestern, Tennessee, Penn State, Maryland, Michigan, Rutgers, Oregon, Kentucky, Indiana. Indiana's targeting her too, obviously. 6'3" forward, plenty of size there. Now, Indiana might be a little further out on this one, which is kind of why we saved it until later on. She's taken 2 official visits, as Talia mentioned last week, Michigan and Northwestern. Sounds like she's going to be making visits to Louisville and Tennessee as well, moving through the summer into the fall. We'll see if Indiana can get a foot in the door there. But again, more size, which you can never have too much of, in especially in the women's game. 6'3" forward is very valuable. Divine Bourrage, I'm not sure how you pronounce the last name, but she is the number 34 recruit in the 2024 class. Offers from Iowa, DePaul, Kentucky, among others. Scouting report on her, what I will say is she is listed at, just a second because her name went away. We'll look in just a sec. She's a 2025 recruit. That's why I could not find her. She's listed. She's number 34 in the 2025 class and is listed at 5'10", out of Iowa. Makes you probably believe that's Iowa is the front runner there. But scouting report on her: athletic, passes well, can shoot, makes her teammates better when she's on the court. Her AAU coach spoke to Talia, quote, "She genuinely cares and supports her teammates and wants to win. She puts the time in away from the team to improve herself in her game. Delight to be around, has come a long ways confidence-wise, in the past year, and it is reflective in her game and results. Maybe not quite as big of a guard as Teri Moren likes, but still plenty big enough that the Hoosiers you can see a path. 5'10" isn't that small, certainly. But if she's out of Davenport North in Iowa, that's a recruiting battle to say the least for the Hoosiers in that one. Last name to mention is a 2027 prospect. You're not even going to find 2027 rankings. You can find there is a drop-down menu on it on ESPN. Nobody's listed. They barely have 2026 recruits listed out. But here's a name to watch. Haylen Ayers, a 2027 prospect out of Tennessee, plays for Tennessee Flight. She has offers from Alabama, Florida, Kentucky, Tennessee, and has taken an unofficial visit to LSU. She just finished her freshman season and is already taking unofficial visits. Here's what Talia had to say. That is wild. Here's what Talia had to say, quote, "Good size, high basketball IQ, finds open teammates, seemingly just makes the right play. Along with that, a lot of the small nuances stand out. She can do a little bit of everything." You got to be pretty dang good to be getting recruiting offers, scholarship offers as a freshman or right after your freshman year from notable schools. This isn't like she's getting mid-major offers. These are Power 5 schools that she is getting scholarship offers from. The Hoosiers are looking at her as well, but just remember the name, Haylen Ayers, because it sounds like she's someone that is going to certainly command a lot of attention in the coming years. I was going to say months. We are years and years away on that one. In the coming years. But again, it bears mentioning just because of the attention she is already getting. We'll see if Indiana can get their noses in there as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Big shout out to Talia for the coverage of women's basketball recruiting. Absolutely head over to Peag, support her, and hopefully if there is continued support, we will see more coverage of women's basketball recruiting, because I think that is something that will certainly drive up interest if we can follow these players and follow their kind of the Hoosiers' pursuit of them. So hopefully this is just the beginning. We'll see how that plays out. Thanks as always, guys, for making Locked On Hoosiers your first listen every single day. Every day is tomorrow. It is men's basketball recruiting. We'll get you caught up on all the latest there. Follow us on Twitter if you haven't already. Subscribe to the podcast. Leave a rating and review. All of that great stuff. Most importantly, though, guys, I hope everybody has a great Tuesday. Hope your week continues going well. As always, LEO.